there's something coming for you, and you don't know what it is. It thinks you can't see it, but you can. Have you ever just wanted to float away in the clouds on a bed of stars like you were younger and believed in something before your eyes got all red and the world turned you heartless? That didn't happen, didn't it? No, I'm just joking. I had to prevent this because this story isn't for those who are faint of heart, pun intended. The Care Bears was a classic show about bears who lived in the clouds and spread love to people that stopped caring. So what happens when you get older, especially. I found a VHS tape one day while I was going through my decayed grandfather's attic. We all remember the Care Bears. At all time, I was too young to care about anything, to care about writing or plot structure. All I knew was that the Care Bears cared. And when you're a little kid, that's all that matters. Well, the Care Bears was a strange show. I was rummaging through my old boxes when I found a weird floorboard that had a hole in it. It was one of those circle cut holes you'd see in cartoon wooden planks, but real life somehow. Curiosity got the best of me. I used my finger like a hook to pull the plank up with all my strength. I could see something underneath the dark there. Like something I wasn't supposed to see. Was it a diamond? A crystal? I wasn't sure. It glinted slightly as things often glint silently, beginning incapable of producing sound. Wait a minute. I reached down and winced painfully. Reaching upward, it was a knife. Someone had stashed a knife in the attic under a floorboard. Underneath it, that was a VHS tape that said Care Bears on the front. The cover was faded. Someone has drawn an S on the cover, but not on the front. I was bleeding pretty badly, so I went into the kitchen, washed my bandage, and anesthetize. I can't say that word. The wound. I didn't have a VHS tape player, so I decided I wouldn't be able to watch the tape. Was until I found another floorboard with a hole in it under a box. Old shoes covered in paint stains. I carefully also lifted this floorboard, revealing some more broken glass that I didn't touch. Putting on a pair of rubber gloves and I sifted through the broken glass and cigarette ashes to find a VHS tape. It was still in the box, in mint condition. Letter I was drawn on the front. I started to shock and confuse me, but nothing had happened to an extent that could tell someone an end they'd care. For I am Pan, the goat god. I hesitantly knew what I had to do. I hooked the VHS tape player, shocked to find that it worked pristine quality. Well, as much quality as these old tapes could produce. I found it strange that someone had drawn the letter L on the tag attached to the wire that goes into the wall. Confused, I continued hooking the VCR up. The tape started with a bright, beaming, sparkly sound that was extremely loud and ringing in my ears. You see a metal row and a bright, monochrome but colored rainbow bursting outward, loud noises matching by a very huge light that made my older model bubble television set a pop and crackle alongside the bizarre VHS scan and lines that that old tapes had. The tape started in a real weird and confusing way. Now myself am a mere weaver and baker of bread, so I don't know much about this lost episode stuff. So forgive me if this makes a little sense to me. Get ready for very crappy voice impressions. There's a problem, the blue bear said. What is it? Said the other bear, turning away facing the clouds, not moving. In fact, there wasn't no movement at all. Someone doesn't care. I don't know who this actor was, but it didn't sound like at all family friendly. Someone who doesn't care? Who? Who doesn't care? Who? A hand moves across the frame with a weird shadow. Oh, almost whisper-like. The bear is on the floor now, which seems like a stuffed doll. Not moving. No one, the voice said. No one cares. The voice sounded like a little more distant and drawn out now. Ladies and gentlemen, gods and dodos, walruses and carpenters, I give you Earth, God's dead Earth. The Care Bear has no eyes. Nothing but dead and vacant circles. And then a moderately well-drawn shot of a field is shown, followed by streets and parks, but no humans. You hear someone coughing like cigarette smoke is causing it. Then Tenderheart spoke. Get ready for a crappy voice, Tenderheart. It started gradually. Days turned into months. Weeks turned into years. And soon the entire population has disappeared. How? Another voice said. When you see it. See what? The tape immediately cut off completely, and the tape was shut off. Confused, I went over to check the wires. I was shocked to find the VHS tape has been rewinding. I hadn't hit rewind. As soon as the hand rewound backward, I didn't notice the word die was quickly interlaced. Was it smoke? What was the hand? I thought it was a drawing, but now it looks like the director's shadow. Like they had copied the art and left the hand in, but was partially drawn. I went into the kitchen and used the knife I found in the attic to cut myself a big piece of chocolate cake. Cut myself again by mistake. Found some green liquid near the sink in the bottle and poured myself a glass. Tasted it. It's foul, but so does the liquor. Then a voice whiffed in from the living room den. There's something strange and comes over me. I ran into the living room and noticed. I was quite shocked that someone had started the VHS. Or was it playing by its own? My cat, Tonsils, was there. But Tonsils couldn't press with his tiny paws. When I feel the desire you set free, a voice said. It was something black and dark, and it was the same color of the hand, but as soon as you hear it, you're already gone. Now I realize this is supposed to be sung, because that's not my stomach! A voice yelled. I think that was the character Grumpy. What am I touching? A voice screamed. What am I touching? A high-pitched voice that seemed to be fed through it. With a vocoder, but downplayed, turning into the pitch way up, it started to speak. You're touching feelings, Care Bears. This is my sadness. Let's get out of here, yells another voice. But the screen is still black. And this is the underside of a tarantula. I heard a loud, violent shriek. And the ape went dead silent again. The underside of a tarantula? With their heads, one of the actors said. We ceased to be two, but together. A shot of a rainbow was shown. Then something really sinister faded into view. I mean, it was an overlay of or maybe a time lapse, but still an image. A dead distinct smile. It was a tarantula, but instead of 8 legs, it had about 30. And instead of eyes, it had all the Care Bear's heads cut off, smiling at me. And instead of pincers, it had fingers. Those fingers had spindly hairs, and one of them was curled outward in a long line with the letters DEELB. Then a voice whispered, "Gogurt is delicious." The lion yelled excitedly. A rainbow of ketchup. Yes, we were saying ketchup instead of blood, FYI, guys, because, well, technically, I need to say that. Was bursting out of his throat. He was holding up a card with the letter T on it. He screamed excitedly. Who couldn't seem to speak clearly because his esophagus was cut open. Nobody has ever been nice to me before. You all made me very happy. What do you have to do? Have to cry about your problems over? And then the rainbow of ketchup is shown. This is how... Oh, you know I care, a voice yelled. There's ketchup in the freezer, bowls in the attic. Son, you're the goat. You're the scapegoat. Then there was a shocking knock at my door. A shocking knock. It was the mailman, not UPS or a postal service. A different mailman in a black coat while holding a parasol appeared through the peephole. That's when I finally saw him. The mailman. Did someone order a box? He asked me sternly. A box? I said, confused. He could hear the gurgling and ketchup sounds from the VHS tape. Oh, Care Bears, he said. My son liked that show. We used to watch it together. A lot of people hated it, called it cheesy. But personally, I think it was a quality show that taught real families' values. Mind if I watch it with you? We can watch it together and come and criticize it. He helped himself and sat on my couch. I love the Care Bears, he said, leaving. He left the package on my table. He shut the VHS tape off and started watching E. It was like nothing happened. Who was this guy? And why was he here? Who are you? I asked. Someone, he said. Someone you know. Who? I yelled. Who? He laughed. A hearty laugh. He was starting to look a bit disheveled. He was lying about his age, job, and place of residence. Resistance, I think. Residence. I can't pronounce that either. I looked outside. There was no mail truck outside. Who? I yelled. He laughed heartily and then laughed even more heartily. Who? Are you a beep owl? He laughed again. Yes, I know it said the F word on there, and I said beep because I'm literally 13, FYI, and I can't, say bad words yet. He laughed again. Heartily. I was starting to think this guy was off his knocker. And I'm not talking about doorbells. It's in the box, he said. And you sold it a long time ago, but I have it and I'm not giving back to you. Unless you say, pucker, beep, face, wiener schnitzel. 3 times fast, he giggled. You thought you could lose it? Just like that, you thought you could give away? As someone could buy it on eBay for a couple bucks, but it's in there. It'll never leave. Huh? It followed you home through the rain and tell you everything will be okay. I heard a loud rustling wind coming out of the television. but still dead blackness. Well, just 1 second. What's that I hear? You're gonna give up now. What? And you're getting so near. I felt a lump building in my throat. That was as thick as a baseball. I swallowed. It'll make everything okay if you just hold on to it. It'll call your name night and from a window when you're asleep. It'll turn your dreams into golden butter sundaes or endless shimmering stardust light. You can't break it, crush it, or mold it, or even touch it. But you know it's there. There's something coming for you, and you don't know what it is. It thinks you can see it, but you can't. You think you know what it is, but you don't. What did this strange mailman want from me? I just wanted to be left alone, but deep down underneath all that ketchup and muscle and new inside that cold and dead cavity you used to call your heart, you know this day was coming. He laughed. Heartier than usual, as if there was more heart to it, like a hearty beef stew. He went into the kitchen and cut himself a big old slice of chocolate cake. Then he sat down on my couch. I'm not just a mailman, he said. I weekend as a clown. He took out a big red honking nose and put it on. But I'm a sad clown, a real sad clown. You dig? What did this have to do with Care Bears, fam? He said. Finally, I had enough. I couldn't ask him to leave. He had taken off his shoes to reveal both of his feet were bound with a strange gauze. Underneath the gauze were hooves, like mythological story you never read. What is it? What is it? He yelled excitedly. Am I your dead grandfather, a mummy, a werewolf, a vampire, a witch? Who am I? He screamed. What am I? While he continued his rant, I had been calling the dog catchers in the other room. I felt bad because this was the only way to make him go away, to just finally leave me alone. I told him, there's a mongrel mutt here, and he didn't have any business to do with me. I didn't know who dropped him off. My voice trailed off as I walked into the other room and just left the cord there. Sweet color milkshakes, butternut, canned squash. What's that, a VHS? He muttered. Wandered into the other room, carton of milk in hand. My roommate, or a distant cousin of him, someone had lent money once. I would have opened the box and find out what's inside. I knew what it was. If I opened it, he'd find out what it was. Then it would continue. Care Bears, blue bears, yellow bears, dead bears, bears on sale, a bear. They're on display at a dog and pony show. Heck of a bear at a mortgage. You know what all bears have in common. Why do you mention Care Bears, first of all? Care Bears aren't even existent. They're warm and fuzzy, but the claw your beep throat out. This wasn't a bear, though. It was a lion. No, a tiger. What was in my kitchen? A shadow? Who was that man? Transformed into a glorious bear and set among the stars. I was watching the Care Bears drive room when the exterminators finally arrived. A big van full of pesticides. Did someone call a tarantula? He smiled. He was a tarantula and he smiled. No, I was a tarantula and I smiled. I drank myself off a big old carton of milk carton bottle with old pesticide. I began to sing it out in the windows, and God doesn't care who on this green earth. Just kidding. Horror broken, he yelled. Before in a suit flex on me, dropped the milk carton and started to drink with me, singing, laughing as I do. Just imagine. And though he was gone, good disease. I scattered some bigger on the floor, or picking up big roach and having it over the dryer, tying it into a loose noose. I backed away under the attic staircase like you do. Tenderheart wild sin. Two-dimensional, but still able to be touched and felt. Okay, couldn't you just use the CGI version of him, like in those Care Bear movies and Welcome to Care-a-Lot? Because that would have been better. I mean, seriously, why'd you use like a two-dimensional version of him? You could have just used like a three-dimensional version of him. Gave me a cold paper hug, then lit up, and then a little bit of red liquid began to drip down his chest. He waved, cried a little, then he said he always loved me and floated into heavens, attached to the string. I stabbed him in the heart with a silver arrow a long time ago. But the strange part was nobody else in the room seemed to notice him or care. I was the only one there, but still, there was something else about this. Something incalculable. I couldn't put my finger on it. I took a deep breath as my chest opened up from condensation of life. Maybe not once. Maybe not one thing specifically. But little pieces of dirt gave over time. And we all need somebody to blame. There was something coming for you, and you don't know what it is. It thinks you can't see it, but you can. It thinks you know what it is, but you don't.